Good afternoon and welcome to our third Summer Food Club. Thank you for joining us. Today we are joining Russ, not a chef, but my poor beleaguered husband, who's going to be showing you how to cook one of our favourite family meals. The summer chicken was a recipe we learned from a family friend, and so we call it Gita's chicken. Fruit crumble was one of my grand's recipes. Although adapted here with tinned peaches and sultanas, you can put in any filling, my absolute favourite being apple and blackberry. So I'll hand you over to Russ.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Liz said, I'm Russ. I'm going to be your cook for this afternoon. So, as Liz said, we've got our family favourite, summer chicken. And it's really, really simple, which is why she has trusted me to show you this afternoon. I'm ably assisted by Bella behind the camera today. So without any further ado, we will make a start. So everybody's got their recipe cards. We're going to start, as I said, with the summer chicken, then move on to the crumble. So first things first, I promise, already washed my hands, and we're going to prep the chicken. Now, I am notoriously fussy, and I don't like the fatty bits. So the first thing I'm going to do is start chopping off the little bits of fat and gristle from the chicken. Some people prefer to use knives and a chopping board. I think it's easier to use scissors. So any kids doing this, just watch yourselves when doing it. Be a little careful. So you can see the pack of chicken I've got already, as any good TV show. I've prepped some of mine already. So this is the last one I'm doing. You just see a few little bits and bobs, just tidying it up. Like I said, I'm a little bit fussy, just getting off the little bits of fat. For the most part, it'll all just cook off anyhow. Just getting rid of that. There we go. And we're all done. So there, we've got a nice cleaned up bit of chicken breast. We'll add that to the rest. Of course, we've got to be careful when handling raw chicken. So I'm now going to just quickly wash my hands. Okay, so the next step is to start cooking and browning off the chicken. So this is a simple step. Bella's going to follow me around with the camera. I've got a large heavy based frying pan. I'm just going to use some regular oil. You can use butter if you want. Moving it a bit too much there, Belle. That's just come down a bit. That's it. Grand. You can use butter if you like, but sometimes it burns. So you just need to be careful. Just helps if you do add a little bit of oil. So I'm going to heat up the saucepan when I figure out which knob it is. It's not my cooker, so let's crank up the temperature on that. Get that nice and hot. I'm going to add some oil, just a little bit, just to add a little to the bottom. Oops, might have been a bit much, but that's fine. Cook that off. I'm just going to give that a second just to coat the pan. When it's hot enough, sometimes the oil just shimmers, goes a sort of translucent colour. So we just coat round. Okay, hopefully that should start getting hot enough. And then we'll add the chicken. Okay, now I'm just getting prompted off camera there that there are some vegetarian alternatives that you could use. Obviously, instead of using the chicken breast, you can replace it with corn, vegetarian chicken. It'll work just as well. So I think now that my oil is now hot enough, so hopefully we're going to put those in. There we go. There's a nice sizzle that you can hear on the chicken. So I'm just going to keep turning that to make sure that it doesn't stick. Just make sure that you don't get splattered with hot oil when you do it. Exercise a little bit of caution. Probably going to be a little on the hot side, so I'm going to turn it down. There we go. Okay. Right, so that's doing really nicely. And once it's sort of almost seared the chicken, we'll start to calm down a second. There we go. Right. Hopefully, over the noise of the sizzling chicken, you can still hear me. Right. So we've turned that down now. Turn that down a little more. And just turn that over. Okay. So hopefully we can see that. It's just started to brown quite nicely. We're going to leave it on the hob for about 15 minutes, 12, 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to turn that now right down. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to move the camera around for you, and we're going to move on to the crumble whilst that's cooking. So what we're going to start with here, let's just pull in the camera and hopefully you hear me more than the sizzling chicken. We're going to start with our flour. Now, ordinarily, when you use flour, we'd sift first, but as we're going to rub in some butter and make a crumble topping, there's no need to do that. So, having already weighed out your flour, take the butter. I've cheated again as well, and I've weighed out my butter. So I am just now going to cut it into some chunks. I took the butter out of the fridge a few minutes ago before we started, so it's not rock hard. So that should make life a little bit easier when you make the crumble. And then I'm just going to cut this into rough cubes, as you can see. There we go. And then start dropping those in. Okay. There we go. Do the same with the rest. Nice and easy and straightforward. Again, just watch your fingers. Okay. I guess some of you may have already done this stall anyway. The good old rubbing in technique. I haven't done it for many years, but my wife did tell me it's dead easy, that even I could do it. So what you're going to do is just start rolling that in and getting the fingers in there, breaking the butter apart, and start to get it into breadcrumbs. Okay. In the meantime, Bella in the background is dealing with the chicken, so we haven't lost track of the chicken. Again, just using our fingers just to churn up the butter, break it down. I'm making a bit of a mess, but again, get the thumbs in there, really rub it in. Hopefully that's coming through on the camera. Let me get a bit closer. There we go. Give it a good grind. Okay, and it's starting slowly but surely to come together and get into that crummy texture. You'll soon know when it's done. You won't have any lumps of butter. It will turn more into the breadcrumb. Now, in a moment when we finish making this into crumb, we're going to add the sugar. Now, today I'm using Demerara sugar. I'll show you that in a minute just on the camera when I've finished doing this. But any sugar will work. It doesn't really matter. Granulated sugar is great. Most people obviously have that at home, tea, coffee, and other bits and bobs. So that will work equally as well. as will soft brown sugar, any sugar really that you've got. So nice and easy. There we go, sticking to my fingers a bit, but it's starting to come together. You're going to have 80 thumbs at the end of the day, but it is getting there, I promise you. Getting a thumbs up from my assistant that the chicken's looking good. There we go. Okay. Getting nice and crumbly now. The other thing that we're going to add into this today is some cinnamon, give it some lovely flavour. Some ground cinnamon, one of my absolute favourites. If you want, depending on fruit you're using, you use ginger, or mixed spice. They particularly go well with apple. Again, so you can make whatever crumble tickles your fancy, really. Out in the local countryside, go for walks. You can pick blackberries and things like that. So there's lots of fresh stuff around now in the middle of summer. So I think we're nearly there. So hopefully, let me bring this up to the camera. And I haven't bored everybody silly with my waffling. Thank you, camera lady. Right, you can see that all turned into fine breadcrumb. Got a few lumps in there. Hopefully the wife won't notice and I won't get told off. You can take a bit more time. I'm trying to rush through this so that everything comes together nicely. Right, so now we're going to add in the sugar. So again, I weighed out the sugar earlier and I mentioned a moment ago I'm using Demerara sugar. So again, all that goes in and we rub it all together with our fingers, just as we did the breadcrumb. And I'm going to add in some cinnamon. So that's the sugar all mixed in nicely. Hopefully that comes across on the camera, you can see that. That's all looking good. So again, just before I handle anything else, I just give my hands a quick rinse. Okay, we're back. So this is the ground cinnamon. I've got a teaspoon here somewhere. So I'm just going to add, there we go, one, when it says in any instructions, teaspoon of mixture like this, the cinnamon, then it's always one level teaspoon. I've got a bit more there, but in it goes. There we are. And again, mix it in with dried fingers. Or I can use the spoon. Add a little mix. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the fruit part of the crumble. Now today we've got some lovely tinned peaches. So thankfully they're already sliced and prepped for us. So what we need to do is get the oven-proof dish that we're going to cook the crumble with. This is mine today. So it says to pour the peaches in the bottom of your dish using half of the juice. So because of our family, I'm going to use 2 tins. So I've already drained 1 tin. So this tin is free of juice. So I'm going to pop those in there like so. I'm just going to open the other one. And then as I'm using all the juice from this one, that can all go in like so. Now for good measure today, shuffle them around. See that? We're going to pop in just some sultanas. So I'm just going to give those a little sprinkle on top. Not going to go mad. Okay, there we go. About 100 grams or so. Okay, that will do us fine. So now it just comes to pouring over the topping. So again, nice and straightforward. I'm just going to shake the fruit flat, so it's nice, straight and level. And I'm going to tip this on again, evenly, trying to get it over the top. Turn that round. I'm going to level it off in a second. Okay, that's probably enough. I've overdone it. Depends how thick you like your topping, really. So you've probably got enough there. Peaches that we've got, level that off. And that's done. Nice, quick, easy. Chicken, as you heard, has been cooking in the background. We'll come on to that in just a second. And there we are. One crumble ready to go in the oven. Okay, so now that's 180 degrees, okay, for about 20-25 minutes. So you can always tell that it's cooked once that lovely topping you've just made has turned a nice golden brown colour. So we've got a timer on, and then we'll get that a little later. Right, so moving back on then to the summer chicken. I'm going to just give our work surface a little bit of a tidy up. I told you I was messy. Clean down. Okay, so our chicken's been cooking away nicely. So the one thing that we've also got to do today is we're going to have rice with our summer chicken. That's what we usually have it with. You can use potatoes if you want to, but I think it works really well with rice. Alternatively, you could go with pasta again, but rice is our family favourite. So I've just got some boiling water on the go there. I'm going to turn my saucepan on. Add boiling water to the pan. And add the rice. Okay. So again, today we're using what are we using? Brown rice, basmati rice, any rice really will work with this, whatever your personal preference. Again, rice cooks slightly differently. So this one today is about 25 minutes, but check your packet for the cooking instructions for the rice. So we're going to pop the lid on, like so. Turn that down a little bit because it's a little ferocious. There we go. Okay, and we'll just let that get to work. So back to our chicken. Hopefully you can see that now is a nice golden brown colour. Okay, so we've got a nice bit of colour into that chicken. I'm going to get my camera lady to help me out there. There we go. Okay, so that's turned a beautiful colour. We're going to still continue cooking that now, just whilst that rice cooks and our crumbles cooking in the oven. We're nearly there with that. Just cook it for a little bit longer. Still nice and juicy. Let's turn that on. So the other ingredient that we're going to prepare now, just whilst that chicken is cooking, again, just follow me around. We're going to add these lovely flavoursome cherry tomatoes. Very simply, these just need cutting in half and then adding to the chicken. So as Liz mentioned earlier, this is a family favourite. Some friends of ours introduced this to us. The flavours were gorgeous, and little did we know how quick and easy it was to put together and make. So much so that if we're away camping or anything like that, then we'll often do it just with camping equipment. It's dead easy. Pop to the supermarket, get the chicken, the pesto, the creme fraiche, and the tomatoes. Just need a heat source, and away you go. So again, it won't take too long to chop up these tomatoes just whilst that chicken is cooking away. And then we'll get these into the chicken, and they'll cook down and they'll soften and they'll release all the flavours. Just going to turn my rice down a second. It really complements the pesto that we're going to add towards the end when the chicken is finished cooking. So again, you can add as many or as few tomatoes as you like. So we all love these tomatoes. They're bursting full of flavour. You can get them on the vine, off the vine, in a packet like this. And they're really great. Dead easy just to chop up. So just in a few minutes, we'll add these into the chicken. And then we'll almost be ready to add the pesto and the creme fraiche. Like I say, it's really easy to do. It doesn't really take too much time. So you can just choose to do this recipe on a whim if you think we've got nothing to eat. What should we have? It's nice and quick and easy and straightforward. Really doesn't take too long at all. Half an hour end to end. And you should have a nice, delicious dinner. Right, we're just coming to the end of the tomatoes now. Final few to cut up. And then I'll get these added in. So we just chop them in half. That one's escaping. And away we go. That's it. Okay. I'm going to add these now into the chicken. Still nicely bubbling away. That's it. It's lovely. Give it a turn. And then slide them all in. Again, just keep this on a nice medium heat. And then those tomatoes will gradually start to cook down, soften up, cook down, release the flavours all around and into the chicken. So we're just going to turn that up just a little bit. That's it. Normally I work with gas at home. I'm not used to this electric one, so it takes a wee while to heat up. Now, once they've cooked for a few minutes, we're going to add the pesto and the creme fraiche. So the pesto is made from basil and pine nuts and oil. So that's simply all it is. Now today we've got a nice fresh basil. When you peel the lid off, just smells absolutely gorgeous. I adore it. One of my favourite things to use in the world. So we're just going to give that a few more minutes, and then we're going to pour that in, and the smell will be impressive, I promise you. You can also make your own pesto for those of you that really want to. Again, as I said, it's just pine nuts, oil, and basil. Now you've got some of you've got a plant of basil in there. Fresh basil. So again, you can, if you're interested in making the fresh pesto, you can Google that. There's plenty of recipes, and again, it's dead easy to make. So hopefully now you can see and hear we've got the sizzle on these tomatoes and the chicken. You can just maybe see these tomatoes starting to soften up. It's looking pretty good. And once they've started to soften down, we're just going to give it a few minutes more. And then add in the other bits. Keep regularly turning the chicken, roughly every 5 minutes or so. In the background, my able assistant's been doing that for me. Just do that for a few more minutes. Again, we're just going to keep an eye on our rice and check that that's doing well, which it is. Okay. So, just going to back. So I think we might nearly be there to put the basil and the creme fraiche. Just give our rice a bit of a stir. Good. Okay, it's coming together. Just whilst we've got a bit of dead air time at the moment, we'll just keep half an eye on our crumble, which is looking pretty good. It's not quite there yet, but again, the smell from that was gorgeous. I think it's the cinnamon and the brown sugar. It's making me hungry. Okay. So we'll just give this a few more minutes. There's quite a few tomatoes in my one that I'm making here. Just offer that up to the camera. There we go. See those start to soften. The juice has started to flow. Starting to look really, really good. Happy with that. So the important thing to do is to add the pesto first. I'm just going to turn my heat down a little. So just going to turn that down. Now mine's been sizzling away, but just before add the pesto, one thing if you're not sure about cooking chicken is that you can always check it first that it's cooked right the way through. And the easiest way to do that is just to use a sharp knife. Just cut it out, watch your fingers, and make sure that there's no pink inside, which there isn't there. It's looking lovely, and any juices run clear. So these are all looking happy chaps. They're all beautifully cooked through. So I'm now happy to add the pesto. Like I say, this is fresh pesto today. You can buy jars of pesto, which is a good staple to have in the house, in the cupboards. Stash it amongst your baked beans. It lasts for a long old time because of the oil. And again, it's really handy to have. And again, you don't need to rush out and get the fresh stuff if you've got a jar of pesto at home. And again, it can taste just as nice, really. In that goes. We want to make sure we get our money's worth. So I'm just going to scrape it off the lid. There we go. Okay, so that's one side. Now we're going to mix the pesto in and turn everything over. Thoroughly coat the chicken, tomatoes. Make sure everything in the pan sees the pesto. There we go. My rice is still bubbling away there. It's nearly done. So just move it around, warm the pesto through, coat the chicken, coat the tomatoes. Just let that cook all through for a few more minutes more. Ready for the next step, which is where we just turn the heat down and then add the creme fraiche. And we're done. So just going to turn the heat down on that. Turn the heat down on our chicken. There we go. So you can see now that that's just gently bubbling away. pesto, just warming that through. I'm going to turn the heat down now a little more, just one more notch. Keep stirring it around, turning our chicken. And now we're just going to make a well in the saucepan. We've coated everything. And we're going to add the creme fraiche. Now, the important thing, whilst I was turning the heat down, is because the creme fraiche, if it's too hot, can start to separate, and we don't want that to happen. So I've cooled that right down. That'll be cool enough now to add the creme fraiche. You can see I've made this well in the middle. So I'm going to pour the creme fraiche in the well. Empty that all out. I'm going to resort back to my spoon again. Empty that in there. There we go. Scrape all the last little bits out. It's being a bit stubborn. Come on. There we go. Now, for those of you that are watching your waistlines, we've used the low-fat creme fraiche. I think it tastes just as good as the full-fat stuff. And once it's all mixed in with the chicken, the tomatoes, and the pesto, really, you don't notice any difference. But again, it's pretty good for you too. And again, all we do now is, having poured that creme fraiche into the well that we've made in the saucepan, see the heat's right down. It's no longer bubbling or sizzling. So there's no danger of the creme fraiche separating. And hopefully what you can see is that getting that mixture all in together. I've got my bowls ready over the side there. I'm going to spoon it into in a moment once I've drained the rice. So again, just keep stirring and moving that round, making sure that it's all stirred and mixed in. Coating all the tomatoes, the chicken, just a stir. Here we go. Got a nice uniform greeny, creamy colour. Okay, so that's done. What we're going to do now is drain the rice, because I think that's pretty much done. Okay, so I'm just going to check my rice. It's looking pretty good, to be honest. Where's my spoon? I've lost my spoon. There we go. Just give that a quick rinse. There we are. That is looking pretty good. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so to serve, we're just going to drain the rice and pop that into a bowl. So pop that lid on and drain it.
Russ, I just showed the chicken in there while you wait for the rice to just finish boiling. Okay, perhaps put the chicken in the bowl and just show the chicken with the basil, and then you can add the rice later.
Good idea. Okay, timescale. I'm being told we're short on time, so rinse my hands. There we go. So we've got some fresh basil, all plucked from a fresh plant. So
we've used 300 ml of the creme fraiche, but it only requires 3 tablespoons. But we love the juice with the rice.
Okay. So a nice breast of chicken. Grab some tomatoes. There we go, like that. A little bit of sauce over the top. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab our fresh basil that we've got here. Sorry, so we're putting camera. So there's our chicken, and we're going to tear it up. Tiny little bit of basil. We're just going to tear it up and sprinkle it over the top. Okay. So again, serving ours with rice. As we've mentioned before, you can serve it with potato, pasta, other veg if you like. With our sprinkle of basil, adds a finishing touch. You don't have to, but it's really flavoursome. When you tear that basil apart, I think it smells great. So there we have it. One summer chicken, and that's us done.
So thank you very much. So next week, if you'd like to join us with Julie, she's got some lovely things planned. So that's next Friday at 4 p.m. Thank you.